We're KC101, your hometown country station, and it is time for another edition of Saturdays with Seniors. And it's all brought to you by Eisenhower's Tioga County Harley-Davidson. Riding season is here. If you need any accessories for your bike or any clothing options as well, Eisenhower's Tioga County Harley-Davidson is the place to go for all of your Harley accessories and apparel. They are located in South Mansfield, and today I've got a special guest with me, Dianna Buck. Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good.
Dianna, how old are you?
In a month, I'll be 89.
89. Wow. Where did you grow up?
Wellsboro.
Wellsboro? Were you born in Wellsboro?
Yep.
Were you born in the hospital, or were you born at home, or?
There was no hospital here when I was born.
Okay.
I think Dr. White had a room in his office.
Okay.
And that was it. You didn't get to stay very long.
Right.
Either.
Right. Tell me about your parents. What did they do for a living?
My mother was a cook, baker, and my dad was a barber.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you live on a farm or anything? Did you just live in just a regular house, or?
We lived in what used to be the Farmer's Hotel.
Okay.
Years ago.
And where's that at?
And that is where the Fellows is today.
Okay.
And when my grandpa bought it, he had a barber shop in one end of it, and he barbered there for a good many years until he went blind. And my dad barbered some, and my uncle was a barber there.
Oh, so a long line of barbers.
Mostly it was Walter T. Wilkeson.
Okay.
Yep. And he cut most of the farm kids. The farmers would bring the kids in on Sunday, and my grandpa would cut their hair, and in payment he would take butter and buttermilk, and every once in a while he would splurge and have him bring him a coon, and my grandma would fix a coon.
Oh. Wow.
Dinner. He loved that.
Could you imagine trying to go to the barber now and paying with butter?
I don't think it was word to.
I don't, probably not.
No.
Well, Dianna, where did you go to school?
Wellsboro.
Now, when you say Wellsboro, it's obviously not the school that we think of today. Where was the school at?
Well, I graduated from the Rockwell Butler.
Oh, okay. So that was the actual high school back then.
Yeah.
Yep.
And where Park Hill Manor was the grade school that I went to.
Did you have a big graduating class when you graduated high school?
Actually, I can't remember how many there were. That was the first time that they made Charleston come over to Wellsboro and graduate with us, and that caused a little conflict because Charleston wanted their own graduation.
Right. Do you remember much of your school days, like grade school? Tell me about some of your earliest memories of school.
Grade school, I was disappointed in it because I lived close enough that I had to walk home for lunch, and I didn't get to stay at the school for lunch.
Did they serve lunch at school?
Some of them that came in. Yep, even then.
Well, we've talked to people before on the show that, just about everybody had to go home for lunch, or they brought their own lunch because they didn't serve lunch in school.
That was more or less. And then on down the road, I thought it was neat to ride a bus to school. Didn't get to do that either.
Well, I mean, as a person that rode the bus many times, it's not, I mean, it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Right. Now, school buses, obviously, they weren't modern like today's school buses, but tell me, what did the school buses look like?
Well, all I remember is they were yellow. That's about all I remember.
Okay, let's talk about the house that you grew up in. Did it have electricity?
Oh, yeah. A lot of tube and knob. And once in a while, there's still a house around in the countryside that you'll run into some tube and knob.
Yep.
And where I grew up used to be the Farmer's Hotel years and years ago. And the barn that went with the hotel was down in what we call the lane, down where Park Hill is today.
Yep.
And Harrington's ice cream place still stands over there by Shablowski's Welding, which that used to belong to Jay Blois. And he shoed horses in there. And there was 2 or 3 houses down the lane on the right-hand side, and on the left there was, I think, 3. And I had girlfriends that lived down there and I played with.
Right.
And at that time it was the Borough buildings.
Okay.
By then, and we played around there. And our biggest thing was we'd like to catch garter snakes, and who could get the prettiest and the biggest. And just about probably where they put the bridge on the rails to trails there.
Yep.
there was some rock formations and a big old water snake laid there, and that was our goal, to catch that water snake. And luckily for us, he was smarter than we were, and we never did catch him, which was a good thing. Now,
yes.
think about it.
You don't hear many ladies talking about trying to catch snakes.
No,
so.
but, even today, I don't kill garter snakes.
Right.
I let them.
Yep. I was just about to say, they have their own purpose in life. So what else did you like to do for fun when you were a kid?
Oh, roller skate. I'd roller skate all over town. And one of the best places we liked was up at the Green Free Library, because they had slate sidewalks. And your roller skates just sounded better and went better on the slate sidewalks. Yep. And we had one street light that was just a bulb in the middle of Charleston Street, where you turned and went down the lane. And the neighborhood kids, which was quite a few of us, we'd play kick the can.
Oh, okay.
There wasn't much traffic, so we'd set the can up in the middle of Charleston Street.
Play kick the can, hey.
Naturally, the boys used to seem to win the most. Yes.
Yep. Let's talk about Wellsboro for a little bit, because you grew up in Wellsboro, but Wellsboro's changed quite a bit over the years. Do you remember some of the businesses that used to be there that are no longer there?
Quite a few.
Yes.
Bud Fullwood, he used to stop in when we had the beer distributing. He would stop in, and we'd go up one side of Wellsboro and down the other and see if we could remember what went where.
Oh, right.
I don't know who won that, actually, but I still miss Bud today and going up and down Main Street.
Yep.
A lot of places are gone.
Yep.
The Bowery, what we call the Bowery anyhow, where Corwin's had the Jell-O. Then it was either the Silver Dollar next to that, or it was the Greeks. And they had the baked hamburgers and actually, I think the first Texas hot dogs.
Ooh.
It seems. And my mother made pies for them. By that time, my mother was making pies, and she made them for about every restaurant in town, plus the cafeteria at the glass factory.
Oh, wow.
Too. Yeah. And then another business in there. Well, later, I can't remember who had it, but I remember he was killed over in Liberty, going down into Liberty, and he sold just about a little bit of everything. You could buy shoes in there or stuff. And then Ellie had it and put it into a restaurant, and I'm sure everybody from town remembers Ellie's. And then there was the barber shop and Spencer's. He was kind of a JP. And then there was a Gazette, I think, right on the corner when you turned to go up Pearl Street. And then the old Beach Auditorium on the other corner. And then there was the Little Tavern, and there's so many people today that don't remember the Little Tavern, and it was little. And then where Wally's Hotel.
Do you remember the lamplighter?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the fire for the lamplighter?
Yep.
That was a big thing in Wellsboro.
Sure was.
We ran a history piece on it probably about a year ago or so about it.
Yep.
But yeah, very interesting history with the lamplighter.
Do you remember who had it when the fire?
I cannot remember the guy's name right offhand, but
yeah, I can't either. I don't know if Mom had it at that time or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But you had said that you had run the one distributor in town, which is no longer there either.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
How long did you run that for?
Oh, goodness. Long time. Can't really tell you how long now, but it was long.
But it was right there by the glass factory. Wellsboro Electric, I believe, is building there now. So
yeah.
I do remember that distributor.
Yeah.
I never bought anything in there because I don't know if it was still open when I turned of age or not, honestly.
I don't think you were quite old enough.
So let's talk about when you were a kid. Do you remember when you first saw TV?
Yeah, the ones that first had TV, one of the Staggers by the Wellsboro Diner there, he lived in that big old house there that's still there, and he had one of the first TVs.
Yep.
And Shablowski's up on the mountain, we used to go up there on, I think it was Saturday nights, and watched wrestling.
Yep, I was just about to say that because a lot of people that we talked about, a lot of their first memories was watching wrestling on TV because that's what the adults watched was wrestling. So.
Yeah. And Mr. Stagger always wanted my grandpa to come up and watch wrestling with him because years earlier my granddad refereed wrestling and boxing over on, what's Packer Park today.
Wow.
they had a
That's really neat.
thing over there.
Did you ever watch the Ed Sullivan Show? Did you remember seeing the Beatles on TV?
Yeah.
It was definitely a big change of music once, they were on TV. So.
Yeah, slightly. And then I got married and I come out in the country here. And the muck was, when I was a kid, there was a pond up at the end of the muck that they cut ice out of to put in the ice house for the vegetables.
Oh, wow.
That they raised on the muck. And Mom would bring a carload of kids down and drop us off to ice skate.
Oh, wow.
We'd done a lot of ice skating on that pond.
Ah, that's really cool.
And I called it Keck's Pond, but I have a girlfriend today that said that was not the name of it. And she told me, but I can't remember what that was now either. But we were always told, now don't you go out on those canals, out on the muck, because there's things which you're going to fall through because the ice isn't froze over.
Yep.
And, of course, naturally, when you're told to do something, that's the first place.
That's the first thing you do, yes. You go right and do it.
Yep. But they were still down at this northern end on the muck. They were still raising produce and such. And I got my first taste of celery that was right out of the ground. And let me tell you, that celery was far better than anything.
Oh, I bet. Speaking of celery, there were celery farms right in Middlebury.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about them, but I know Kevin has talked quite a bit about the celery farms, and we've had a couple other guests on Saturdays as seniors talk about the celery farms. So.
Yeah, and the muck started going downhill when they all of a sudden weren't allowed to clean out. On the books from ages ago, you had to keep the canals open. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they changed their mind and wanted it flooded for the birds and those things. So then the produce went.
Yep.
So today it's birds of all kinds, which is neat. Yeah.
And no celery. Birds and no celery.
No.
The birds won.
Yeah, I'm afraid they did. Yep. Everything changes.
Oh, absolutely. That's how time goes. It changes everything.
Yep.
Do you remember your first paying job?
Well, yeah, I worked in Corwin's. I worked in that Jello, and I liked that. That was good. At that time, they would do big dinners like up in the Armory a lot of times. And I think it was Oddfellows Hall there on Pearl Street that they did big dinners in there. I don't know, but I like to work at the big dinners. It was fun.
Do you remember what you got paid?
Not very much.
That's usually the general consensus when we ask guests that. So. Yeah.
When I started babysitting, I think I got something like 15 cents an hour or 25 cents. Man, when I got 25 cents, I thought I was in heaven.
Raking in the big dough.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What were some of the other jobs that you did throughout your life?
I worked in Bilo for 5 years, but that was Acme.
Acme, yep. I remember when it was Acme.
Yeah.
Yep.
I liked that job. I have to say, I liked any job I ever did. Mm-hmm. And then there was a time I took over my mother's pie baking when she got too sick. I kind of had a rough start in that, but I persevered, and I think that they were pretty good to the end because I had Sheriff Jack at the time, and after I'd even got out of that line, he came back to town and had me make him a graham cracker cream pie because that was his favorite, and that's what he always had my mother making. And he said it tasted about the same, so I don't know whether it did or not. But I had to make a big order of apple pies, and she was right down in bed and couldn't do it, and I said, "Oh, I'll do it." Well, I think I used a whole bushel of apples for them 12 pies, and my mother almost had a fit over that. She said, "You used a whole bushel?" Yeah, I did.
I bet it was a good pie, though.
Well, I'm not so sure about that.
I do like a good apple pie, so.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first car?
Well, yeah. My grandma used to let me, she had a little Ford coupe, kind of, and she let me drive that. I really liked that. It was small enough that you could turn it around, and at those times when you took your driver's license, you had to turn around in the street.
Yep. I didn't have to do that when I took mine.
No, they kind of forgot about that.
Now, when did you get your driver's license?
I didn't get mine I didn't get it when I was 16. I know I was 17 or 18 when I got it. Yeah.
And where did you have to go to take your driving test and everything? Because it's changed. It's not where it is now in the plaza.
No. Well, they took you up the street by the hospital, and you had to stop there on the hill a little bit, and then you went over and Pearl Street up by where Mr. Kench lived at the time. That's where you had to turn around. But where did we start from?
Was it in the courthouse?
Yeah, it was. It was. And,
that's what I thought. I wasn't 100% sure, but that's what
Yep,
so
it was.
Definitely different than today, obviously.
Yeah.
But
today you go up in the plaza.
Up at the plaza, and do it up there. So, that place wasn't there when you were growing up. So,
no.
So you'd mentioned the glass factory and how your mom had made pies for the cafeteria. Do you remember? I mean, the glass factory is huge in Wellsboro back then.
Yeah, about everybody worked there.
My grandfather actually worked there for a little while. So,
Yep.
Do you remember your first movie? Did you ever go to the movies a lot?
Yes, the first one. No, I can't remember.
No,
that.
but you went to the Arcadia in Wellsboro. Yep. That theater's been there for 100 years, I believe.
I was just going through a book on Wellsboro the other day, and it showed a picture of it being built.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But what age was on that? I don't know. No, for sure. But I went there a lot. In fact, at one time, I even helped my girlfriend. She was running the snack bar.
Oh, yeah.
Making popcorn and that. And I helped her with that.
Oh, wow.
For a while.
That's really cool.
And when she went to the Y drive-in, I went to the Y with
I was just about to ask you about the Y drive-in. I'm assuming you went there quite a bit, too?
Yeah, but I worked in the
concession stand
stand there too.
Yep, that's really neat. I miss drive-in movie theaters because they're very few and far between now. You think you have to go to like Elmira or Corning to go to a drive-in now,
if they even have them anymore.
I've only been to a drive-in I think once in my life, and I think I was 4 or 5 when I went.
Yeah. Oh boy.
You remember how much a movie cost back then?
Wasn't very much. I can remember going in when my grandpa was barbering and asked for a couple of cents, whatever it was, for the theater there in town. He'd give me some change. Way you go.
And away you go. Do you remember when McDonald's came to Wellsboro?
Oh gosh, yeah, that was something. We frequented that quite a bit when it first came to town. I still go now and then.
When you were a kid, did you go out to restaurants much?
Oh no.
No, money was pretty tight.
Yeah. And just didn't do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a lot of our guests had said the same thing too. It just you didn't do it. So,
no.
Things have definitely changed. When you were a kid, did you have a lot of clothes?
No.
That's another thing that's changed.
Yep.
Oh
gosh, no.
Once you get like a stain on your shirt, you throw it away and you go buy another one. That's not the way it was. Back then.
No way.
Nope.
Yeah.
Get a hole in your shirt, it got sewed. It didn't get thrown away. So.
Yeah. And when the kids come home from school, man, they had to change right out of them.
Out of your school clothes into
And and the barn clothes came on. I have to mention the Rails to Trails.
Yes, please.
Really neat. I walk my dogs about every day, once a day on the Rails to Trails.
Oh, nice.
And you meet some nice people.
Oh, absolutely.
And hear different stories. It's, I'm not sure how it's going to work out with getting them from, let's say, Smokey Spencer's hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Getting them uptown.
Yeah, that's that's a whole project in itself, and they've started doing it, but I guess we'll see. Yeah.
I remember this couple. I think it was last year that I ran into them, and they had like some of these little baby carriages that you hook on behind bicycles.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Well, they had one of those, and they had all their possessions in it, a little pop-up tent and stuff, and they had flew from Hawaii to Maine, and they were doing the Rails to Trails from Maine to California.
Oh, wow.
Going back home, and they were both retired out of the service, and they had gotten married, and that was what they were going to do.
Wow.
So I think about them often and wonder if they made it.
Right. Well, I hope they did.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Laurel Festival. Laurel Festival is always big in Wellsboro, and it's actually coming up in just a few weeks. But do you remember some of the earlier Laurel Festivals?
Well, when I was in school, I always had to march in the band.
Yep.
Because, that remember.
What instrument did you play? Now I'm curious.
Tenor sax.
Tenor sax, okay.
Yeah. And that tenor sax, it was brand new. My mother worked hard and bought that for me. And when I was done with it, other kids borrowed it.
Oh, yeah.
And used it. Rich Wilkerson was one of them. Mm-hmm. And I think Tom Young might have borrowed that, too. And then my daughter, she took it up.
Okay.
Won in quite a few parades. We always look forward to the carnival.
Oh, yes.
Yep. And then now it's all
gone. Carnival's gone.
Yeah, it's not the same anymore.
No.
But nothing else is.
No, it's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Did it always draw a big crowd, the Laurel Festival? Yep.
Yeah, always.
I was in the parade several times myself because I was in the marching band too. So.
Yeah. And up in the hospital, and I'd like to know, I don't think it has the year on it. Someone took a beautiful picture of the street from one of the buildings. They were up high. Must have been maybe on the roof or something. But it looked down on the parade. It's really a nice picture up, and it's up in the hospital there. I happened to run onto it one
I'll
day.
have to look at that.
But yeah, I think it's in the PT, and probably a lot of people remember Kench's drugstore.
Yep, I remember Kench's, actually.
Yeah, I worked in there too.
Okay.
Can't remember how many years. I had charge of the snack bar in there.
Huh.
That was interesting.
Did you play any sports or anything in school?
No.
Nope, I didn't either.
Just didn't have time for those.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel that. I played in the band, and I was also in choir too. So,
Well, John Dunham had a little dance band, and we had dances on. I'm not sure what night. It wasn't a school night, so it had to be maybe a Friday night or so. But once or twice a month, I think. And I played in that with the sax.
Oh, nice.
A few times, yeah.
That's something that's also changed too. Live music, when you go out anymore, it's usually a DJ playing, and there's not really a lot of live music going around anymore. But
really,
trying to bring that back. We should bring that back.
Should. Country Western, you still get the live.
Did you have any siblings?
I had one sister and a half brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
you had kids of your own.
Yeah. 2 boys and a girl.
Okay.
And my sisters passed quite a long time ago. Well, I'm the only Indian standing, and I lost one son, Tom. Yeah.
You got grandkids?
Yes. Got Matt.
Matt, yep. Matt's a buddy of mine. We've actually went to school together. So.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matt.
Yeah.
One other question I got, when you were growing up, did you notice a busy day in Wellsboro? Was one day busier than the rest of the days of the week because people came in to get groceries? Or
I'd like to think it was Saturday night that everybody liked to come to town and park on the street and talk with everybody else that walked up and down the street, Yeah.
Why, hello.
And this is my son, Mikey. And yes, he has 2 kids, Christopher and Alyssa.
All right. Well, we are going to wrap this up. And I always ask one other question before we wrap up. If you could choose to grow up when you did or grow up now, what would you choose?
Oh, then.
Yep.
Hands down.
Yep. That's usually the general consensus.
Yeah. Things haven't really got better.
Yeah. We've got technology now, which makes things a little bit easier, but technology is a double-edged sword too.
Yes,
so
it is. And I bet my son would say he'd rather grow up when he did, right?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, thank you, Dianna, for taking some time out of your day to talk with me and tell me your story and inviting me into your house.
Well, I'm sure you're welcome, and I love to reminisce, so.
All right. Well, there you go. This has been Saturdays with Seniors here on KC 101, all brought to you by Eisenhower's Tioga County Harley Davidson. If you need any service work done to your bike, Eisenhower's Tioga County Harley Davidson is the place to go. Now, if you missed any of this episode or any of the previous episodes, you can go to our website, kc101fm.com. There's a link to our YouTube channel, and you can hear this episode and all of the previous episodes right there on